Number 1. Robert Redford was born Charles Robert Redford, Jr. on August 18, 1936, in Santa Monica, California. From a young age, he showed creative leanings. He studied painting and initially pursued art, traveling in Europe and absorbing landscapes and cultures. But soon acting called to him. He attended schools including the University of Colorado Boulder, the Pratt Institute, and the American Academy of Dramatic Arts, honing his skills and preparing for a career that would span more than 6 decades. His earliest screen work came in television in the early 1960s, with appearances in shows like Perry Mason, Alfred Hitchcock Presents, The Untouchables, and The Twilight Zone. These small but memorable roles paved the way for his first major successes. By the mid-1960s, Redford was already becoming known. One of his breakout film roles was in Barefoot in the Park, 1967, opposite Jane Fonda, which showcased his charm, likable persona, and range. In 1969, his star reached another level when he played the Sundance Kid opposite Paul Newman in Butch Cassidy, and the Sundance Kid, a role which helped define his image as a leading man in Hollywood, combining ruggedness, charisma, and a certain understated depth. Reuters. Over the years, Redford took on roles that ranged from romantic leads, The Way We Were, to intense political dramas, All the President's Men, and character studies, The Natural, Jeremiah Johnson. His acting was balanced, often embodying both vulnerability and strength. He wasn't just a pretty face. He became respected for his choices, the nuance he brought to parts, and the integrity with which he pursued his art. But acting was only one part of his legacy. Redford also became a skilled director and producer. His directing debut was marked by Ordinary People in 1980, a film that earned him an Academy Award for Best Director and Best Picture. He continued directing with works such as Quiz Show, 1994, and A River Runs Through It, among others. He used his influence not only to tell stories in front of the camera, but behind it too. Outside film, Redford's impact extended into activism and support for independent cinema. He co-founded the Sundance Institute and the Sundance Film Festival, helping foster new filmmaking voices and giving platforms to stories outside the mainstream studio system. He also co-founded the Redford Center with his son James, which furthered environmental awareness and documentary work. His commitment to the environment, civic causes, and political engagement was consistent over his lifetime. On family and personal life, he first married Lola Van Wagenen in 1958. The couple had 4 children, Scott, who died in infancy, Shauna James, who died in 2020, and Amy. Later, he married Sibyl Zaggers in 2009, who had been his longtime partner. He also had grandchildren. Redford divided his life between homes, but Utah, particularly his property around Sundance, was a place he deeply loved. It was a place of retreat, of nature, of the kind of life away from Hollywood glare that he valued. As age advanced, Redford stepped back from frequent acting roles. He officially announced his retirement from regular acting after The Old Man and The Gun. Still, he remained involved in film, supporting other creatives and using his voice for what mattered to him. On September 16, 2025, Robert Redford passed away at the age of 89. He died in his sleep at his home in Sundance, Utah, surrounded by the people he loved. His death was confirmed by his publicist, who noted the family's request for privacy. Though no specific cause was immediately announced, the passing of this legendary figure marked the end of an era. His legacy is enormous. Films he starred in remain classics. Directors and actors he helped bring forward through Sundance continue to shape cinema. The ideals he pushed, care for the environment, support for artistic freedom, integrity in one's work, continue to matter. People remember not just the roles he played, but the kind of person he was. Someone who cared about more than fame, who looked at storytelling as having purpose, who used his influence to help others, and who never lost his connection to nature, to art, and to humanity. Robert Redford's life was a rich tapestry of film, of activism, of family, of lasting contributions. His memory will live on in every frame of his movies, in every young filmmaker Sundance helps, and in every moment someone is moved by a performance, speech, or creative work that he inspired. Number 2. Graham Greene. Graham Greene was born on June 22, 1952, in Oswego, on the Six Nations Reserve in Ontario, Canada. Growing up as a member of the Oneida First Nation, his early life was shaped by the landscape, the culture, and the traditions of his community. Before he ever stepped on a big stage or appeared in front of a camera, he did work that was far removed from glamour. He was a carpenter, welder, draftsman, carpet layer, roadie, and even worked in audio tech. These jobs grounded him, taught him humility, and connected him to real life in ways that later made his acting more authentic. He started acting in the 1970s, somewhat by accident. He helped a friend workshop a script and discovered that being part of telling stories was something he could do. He trained in theater, notably studying at the Center for Indigenous Theater in Toronto, and started performing in stage productions in Canada. In those early years, he developed his craft slowly, learning variations of characters, voices, emotions. His film debut came in Running Brave, 1983. But it was 1990 that marked the turning point. In Dances with Wolves, directed by Kevin Costner, Greene played Kicking Bird, a Sioux holy man. He learned Lakota phonetically for the role, memorizing lines, walking, reciting with headphones during training, even jogging to internalize the speech rhythms. He described that period saying people might have looked at him strangely, but he was committed to getting it right. The film won many Oscars, including Best Picture, and Greene himself earned a nomination for Best Supporting Actor. That role brought him international recognition and opened doors that were once closed. After Dances with Wolves, his career accelerated. He took on diverse roles: tribal police officer, elder, judge, even characters in supernatural or fantasy stories. He appeared in Thunderheart Maverick, Die Hard with a Vengeance, The Green Mile, The Twilight Saga, New Moon and Breaking Dawn, Part 2, Wind River, among others. On television, he was seen in Reservation Dogs, The Last of Us, Northern Exposure, Longmire, Goliath, and other series, sometimes playing roles that challenge stereotypes about Indigenous people. He also provided voice work. His performance as Chief Rains Fall in Red Dead Redemption 2 reached audiences in gaming. Greene was also recognized for his work beyond just acting. He won awards: a Grammy for Listen to the Storyteller, Best Spoken Word Album for Children, Gemini Awards, Canadian Screen Awards, and honors including the Order of Canada. In 2025, he received the Governor General's Award for Lifetime Artistic Achievement. Off-screen, he was known for kindness, for his dry wit, for being playful, for treating people respectfully. Co-stars spoke of his moral integrity, his humility, and his willingness to support younger Indigenous actors and be a mentor. He refused roles that demeaned Indigenous people, challenged typecasting, and pushed for better representation, believing that his people's stories deserved authenticity. He married Hilary Blackmore, and together they had a daughter, Lily. He also had a grandson, Tarlo. He lived outside Toronto with his family and a small army of cats, as he sometimes joked. He loved writing, building boats, playing golf. He once said he was not interested in moving to California to chase fame, but believed an actor can work from anywhere as long as you have a phone, a fax, and know where the airport is. After decades of work, honors, and growth. On September 1st, 2025, Graham Greene died in Stratford, Ontario, at the age of 73 after a long illness. His agent described it as a peaceful passing. The exact cause wasn't immediately detailed in all statements, but his death followed a protracted period of declining health. Tributes flowed in. Co-stars and filmmakers praised his generosity, his authenticity, the gravity and warmth he brought to every role. Many noted that beyond the characters he played, Green's influence was felt in how he inspired indigenous artists, changed perception, and used his success to elevate stories that had been marginalized. Graham Greene's journey was never about fame alone. It was about integrity, craft, community, and representation. He showed audiences that a performer could be more than a character on screen, someone who carried the weight of culture, history, and voice, and did so with dignity and passion. His legacy will live on through each film, every television show, every young indigenous actor who sees themselves in him and says, "I can do that too." Number 3. Patricia Crowley. Patricia Crowley was born on September 17, 1933, in Oliphant, Pennsylvania. Raised in a working-class family, her father was a coal miner, she knew early on that life would require grit and dedication. She had an older sister, Anne Crowley, who also went into the arts. When Patricia was still a teenager, she and her sister moved to New York City, where Patricia enrolled in the High School of the Performing Arts. It was there, in that vibrant post-war era of Broadway and live theater, that she began to lay the foundations of a performance career. She got her start on stage. By 1950, Patricia had her Broadway debut in Southern Exposure, even before many of her peers had left high school. From summer stock to musical revues, from small television appearances to feature films, she steadily built her craft. In 1953, she had her breakthrough in film. She appeared in Forever Female, sharing screen space with Ginger Rogers and William Holden. In that same year, she starred in Money from Home alongside Dean Martin and Jerry Lewis. Her performances earned her the Golden Globe for New Star of the Year. That accolade cemented her status as someone to watch. Over the next few years, she took roles in comedies, musicals, dramas, teaming with big names like Rosemary Clooney, Tony Curtis, Fred MacMurray, doing both light-hearted work and more serious parts. Her film work included Red Garters, a musical Western spoof, The Square Jungle, There's Always Tomorrow, Walk the Proud Land, and, later, The Wheeler Dealers. Though by the early 1970s the film roles became less frequent, she had already made an indelible mark. Television became a major realm for her talent. In 1965, she began starring in Please Don't Eat the Daisies, playing Joan Nash, a newspaper columnist and mother of 4 boys, navigating the chaos of family life with warmth, humor, and style. While the show only ran 2 seasons, it made her a familiar face in households across America. Over the decades that followed, she guest-starred in over 100 TV shows. She appeared in The Twilight Zone, Columbo, Hawaii Five-0, Melrose Place, Friends, Fantasy Island, The Rockford Files, Charmed, Murder, She Wrote, among many others. She also held recurring roles, like Emily Falmont on Dynasty in 1986, Rebecca Whitmore in Generations, and Mary Scanlon in Port Charles. Her personal life was anchored in family. She first married Ed Hookstraten, a lawyer and entertainment attorney, in 1958. With him, she had 2 children, a son named John Hookstraten, who would later become an executive in the entertainment industry, and a daughter named Anne. That marriage ended, and then in 1986, she married Andy Friendly, a producer and director. As for her later years, she kept acting, especially in television, soap operas, guest appearances, well into the late 1990s and early 2000s. Her last film role was in Mont Rêve in 2012. She earned respect not only for her versatility, moving between film, sitcoms, drama, soaps, but for her ability to stay relevant across decades. On September 14, 2025, Patricia Crowley died of natural causes in Los Angeles, just a few days shy of her 92nd birthday. Her son, John Hookstraten, who works in operations at Sony Pictures, confirmed the news. She is survived by her husband, Andy Friendly, her 2 children, John and Anne, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren. Her legacy is rich. Patricia Crowley's work spanned more than 60 years. She showed her range in comedy, drama, stage, films, TV shows, daytime soaps. She inspired younger actors, especially women in television, by showing that a performer's career doesn't have to fade after one era. She remained gracious, professional, and beloved. Audiences remember her for the warmth she brought to family roles, the ease with which she balanced humor and sincerity, and the longevity of her presence on screens small and large. Her name will live on in the episodes, the reruns, and the memories of her performances, a reminder of a time when acting was craft and dedication was its own reward.